I think I'm rolling. Okay. So we're going to start off today. We're going to be working on worksheet 7-9 out of the student book. And you can see this is pretty deep into the chapter. So we're going to be using a lot of skills that we've already learned in previous parts of our addition and subtraction of fractions and mixed numbers with unlike denominators chapter. We're going to be working on number 1 and 2 today. And the first thing I'm going to be doing is actually copying down number 1 onto my paper. And I'm going to copy it down nice and big so that you can really see it. Minus 3 5/8. And then I'm actually going to set my worksheet aside because I don't really need it right now. I'm going to be doing all of my work on my paper, and then at the end I can just put my answer on my worksheet. So the first thing I'm going to do, or the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually break my screen in half, and I'm going to show you that I've actually built this fraction 6 1/4 and then 3 5/8. So I've built both of those before I actually made this little video. So I have 6 1/4 and I have 6 1/4 and I have 3 5/8. And if I'm noticing here that I can't actually subtract my fractions. So if I have 5/8 and I have 1/4, if I just look at the fractions, this fraction cannot subtract this fraction. It's not bigger. The 1/4 is not bigger than the 5/8. So what I'm going to end up having to do is kind of have to borrow from the 6 to make this bigger. And the easiest way to do that is to actually turn my mixed numbers into improper fractions. So if I go back to my split screen and I go back to my 6 1/4, I'm going to take this fraction right here and I'm going to make it into a mixed number. Now you can see right here that I had 6 1/4. I've not changed anything about my number except for the way that it's written. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write down a new fraction. My denominator is going to stay the same, and I'm going to take 6 times 4 is 24, and then plus 1 is 25. So that 25 goes right there. I'm going to keep my minus sign. But if I look over at if you look over at the left side of the screen, you can actually see this. I've got 25/4 that make up that 6 1/4. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my 3 5/8, and I'm going to turn that into a mixed number, again by multiplying the 8 times the 3, and then adding the 5. So taking the denominator times the big number, and then adding the numerator. My denominator is going to stay the same, and this is going to become 24 plus 5 is 29, and I can show you that here. So I have 29/8 and I have 25/4. And you might be saying to yourself, well, but 25 and 4 are actually smaller numbers than 29 and 8. And that is true, but they can still subtract because the denominators are not the same yet. Okay, 25/4 actually came from 6 1/4. These are the same number. And these are the same number. So once I have the denominators the same, this number will be bigger than this number, and you will be able to subtract them. So I have my fourths, and I need to find my common denominator. 8 is a multiple of 4 and 8. If I list the multiples of 4 up here, I have 4, and then 8, and then 12, ... And if I list the multiples of 8, I have 8, and then 16, and I don't need any more because I've already found one that they have in common. They both have 8 in common. And I really like this because that means that my 29/8 doesn't have to change. And then I always like to put this 8 over here in my answer because it makes me feel like I'm half done, even though I haven't done the real work yet. So 25/4. I need to look at my 4 and figure out what I did to my fourths to make them into 8s. And what I did to 4 to make it into 8 was I took it times 2. So what I'm going to do is I took 4 times 2, and what I do to my bottom, I have to do to my top. So 25 times 2 is 50. And you can see over here on the left side of the screen, that is what it looks like. So it started off, just to kind of take you back, it started off as 6 1/4, that was here. And then it went to 25/4, that's here. And then down here at the bottom, it went to 58. And the amount has not changed a single time when I've gone through these. The 6 1/4 is the same as the 25/4. As the 25/4, and the 25/4 is the same as the 58. Okay, and now I can subtract these. And so if you don't trust yourself with your subtraction, I can actually just take 50 minus 29. This becomes 4. That becomes a 10. And it becomes 21 over 10. And you can actually see that here. If I take out my 25 at the top, I'm left with 24 down at the bottom. Can you see that? And so if I want to, I can take this 21/8 and I can actually turn that back into a mixed number. And that's going to look like this. We're going to put our numerator under the box and our denominator outside of the box. And then 8 goes into 21 2 times, minus 16. It's going to be 5, so my remainder is going to be 5. And then this right here becomes my fraction. My quotient becomes my big number. Bottom stays the same. And then my remainder becomes my numerator. And that is how you subtract mixed numbers that have unlike denominators.